guys, I don't want to have to restart this live stream again simply because YouTube wants to think that my orientation is wrong as far as how I've got the live stream on horizontal, which is where a friend of mine, Danny Staten, says he likes it better that way instead of doing it vertically. So that's how I'm doing it. So hey, I figured let's hope this goes well. Hope this goes well. But hi guys, you guys know why I'm here. It's Saturday. You guys know why I'm here. Wrestling Weekend Review podcast slash live stream number 88. 88. So without further ado, let's get into the wrestling. There's quite a few things to discuss. So let's see. I'm just gonna do something for a second. Right now, Danny. Basically now, if you want to come on. But what I'm doing for the moment is I'm just getting the brightness on my phone, brightening up the phone screen a little bit so you guys can see me just a little bit better. Although it will probably drain the battery just a little bit more. I just want you guys to be able to see me. Not that you guys care what I look like anyways. Yeah, but yeah, I'm live right now, guys. Danny. Oh, did dang it. I could have saw that Danny left me a comment on my most recent post about my live stream. What I could have done instead, before I decided to click on it, is click it out. We'll just scroll through it. Was to like the comments. That way he would know at least that I had seen it. But yeah, Danny, if you want to come on, feel free to do so. And it's already showing one person now is live with me, so yay! Let's get this live stream to 5 likes minimum. That's all I really, that's all I ever want is at least 5. Which I know is doable, considering I have at least 5 people, or at least 5 people out there that I know come to my live streams most of the time. Sometimes they can't, but then other times I know they are consistent with showing up. But let's start off with Monday Night Raw. Let's get into the show, and let's start off with Monday Night Raw. Well, last week Monday Night Raw. Its main event was a match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Jey Uso versus Seth Rollins, which I believe is going to be a match, which I think is going to be the match later on down the line, maybe at SummerSlam. Maybe we get that match at SummerSlam. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But I do feel like they gave us that match on for free to basically give off the illusion that, oh wow, they're really cutting Jey Uso's title reign short. They're not even going to let him get a chance to have the title before they take it off him. Luckily for us, they didn't do that. They let Sami Zayn and even CM Punk come out to thwart Seth Rollins' attempts to win the title. So obviously he's not the world champion yet. Although I do think Seth Rollins is going to take the title off of Jey Uso eventually, because with the way they've pretty much been, because I believe that they're building towards Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 42. Whether that's night 1 or night 2 main event, who knows? I feel like that's where they're going. And so tonight we got CM Punk opening the show. He had a lot to talk about, especially when it came to CM Punk. Paul Heyman, he called out Paul Heyman. He said we wanted Paul Heyman to give him an explanation of sorts as to why, as to why he decided to go off on his best friend apparently in CM Punk and decided to turn his back on Punk. But Paul Heyman came out, but he wasn't alone. He had Seth Rollins with him. It's like, yeah, if you really thought that Paul Heyman was going to come out alone, then you were gladly mistaken. And now they have Braun Breaker in their corner, which isn't that bad. I think Braun Breaker is a future world champion eventually at some point. It's going to happen, and it has to happen eventually. But hey, it is what it is. Well, we all know how this probably ended, and if you said that this ended with a brawl of sorts, well, then you'd be right, because that's exactly how it ended. Ended with a brawl, and it ended with Sami Zayn coming out to save CM Punk. Then Braun Breaker got involved, and then Jey Uso came out, and then he got involved. So, hey, it is what it is. Now, as of this week, we now know the matches that will be at Saturday night's main event, which is next Saturday. Next Saturday is going to be Saturday night's main event. If I'm not mistaken, NXT Battleground will also be next weekend, that being on Sunday. So I'll be watching that. Should be a good show. We're gonna be getting Stacks versus Tony D in a grudge match after Stacks turned on the Don. We got Stephanie Vaquer versus Jordan Grace for the women's championship. We got Trick Williams versus Joe Hendry for the TNA World Title. For the first time ever on a WWE PLE, the TNA World Title will be on the line. We got, I can't remember who else we had. I think we might be getting Kalani Jordan versus Soruka again for the NXT Women's North American title, because Kalani has a match with Zarya this upcoming Tuesday on NXT television, which the stipulation is if Kalani wins, she gets another shot at the title, which would most likely be at Battleground. But hey, I can't remember what matches we're gonna have, but I could honestly. Oh yeah, we got Miles Bourne versus Obafemi for the NXT title. That should be an interesting match. I was quite surprised when Miles Bourne won that Battle Royal last week. It was pretty interesting to say the least. I didn't have him winning the match. I thought Javon Evans would win, but it is what it is. But hey, let's get back to Monday Night Raw. Now, we got tonight on Monday Night Raw, we got Penta El Zero Miedo versus Chad Gable. This is basically a rematch from Penta's first ever WWE match. His debut match was against Chad Gable. It was very good, minus maybe one hiccup or two that were minor, basically, all minor mistakes. But then we also got, and this match was just as good as their last match. This match was, I think, a little bit better because obviously the the minor mistakes that happened in the last match didn't happen here, so this was basically a great match. And both of them are great. So, hey, it is what it is. We will see what happens, what's going to happen with Penta, where he goes next following his match at Backlash against Dirty Dom, which was not great, but it was okay, minus the El Grande Americano interference, which I believe with a bloody passion it is Chad Gable. If El Grande Americano was not Chad Gable, then what the hell? And who the hell is it? I mean, ever since that moment when we first saw him in that backstage segment where we saw Ronnie Americano basically be dragged out of be forced out of the building when Chad Gable was doing an interview with Kathy Kelly. Ever since then, we have yet to see them again in the same frame, in the same segment. So, yeah, there has to be something to that. There has to be a reason for that. There has to be a reason for them not showing those two. I'm sure Mr. Americano will be forced to reveal himself eventually. When he does, I cannot wait. If it is Chad Gable, I cannot wait for when El Grande Americano is forced to unmask, because Michael Cole will do the most epic "I told you so." So you know Michael Cole's gonna have an "I told you so" ready for when El Grande Americano is unmasked. And if it is Chad Gable, the "I told you so" that we're gonna get from Michael Cole, it's gonna be hilarious. But yeah, this was good. We got Julia and Roxanne. They had a little bit of a video package talking about where they called out their opponents tonight in the main event of this week's show, which was Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. Basic stuff, nothing too over the top, but it was good. We got Dirty Dom, Mysterio, and Finn Balor backstage. Finn Balor was getting ready for a match later on against AJ Styles, which was very good. And yeah, I think it's only a matter of time before Finn Balor decides, you know what, I'm going to stab Dirty Dom in the back. There's also been some, now twice now, there has been backstage footage, or at least a picture backstage shown of Roxanne Perez talking with Finn Balor. I'm like, okay, Roxanne Perez is talking to Finn Balor. Why is that? If it's going the way that I see it going, we could see Roxanne Perez. We could see yet a new iteration of the Judgment Day, with Roxanne Perez now as the female in the group, with maybe, I don't know where this would lead Raquel, but Liv would obviously be going with Dirty Dom. And so they'll probably, I think it's inevitable that Finn Balor just snaps on Dominic, and just throws him out because of just the jealousy. It's just pure jealousy, and also Dirty Dom has the Intercontinental title that Finn wants, and Dominic definitely seems to slowly be getting babyface chance, which is weird considering he is a heel, and considering that basically a year ago at this time he was still basically one of the most overly hated wrestlers in all of pro wrestling. You couldn't tell me otherwise. You couldn't tell anybody otherwise. He was getting massive heat from the crowd. Now he's slowly but surely getting babyface chance, which I guess could be a sign that the crowd is respecting him now more than anything else. We also got the backstage segment with Sami Zayn and CM Punk, who are gearing up for now, who have now, it's now been made official for Saturday night's main event that we're getting Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn and CM Punk in a tag team match. Also, Logan Paul versus Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now on the SmackDown side, we got two matches for SmackDown. On the SmackDown side, Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre in a steel cage match. And then we got John Cena versus R-Truth. Non-title, basically a rematch from Capital Punishment 2011, but this time the roles will be reversed. R-Truth will be the face, John Cena will be the heel, and R-Truth has basically said last night in an interview with Wade Barrett that he wants to beat the hustle, loyalty, and respect back into John Cena, basically. Basically, get Cena to come back to his senses and come back to being the beloved babyface that we all loved, or in some cases loved to hate, because we thought he was being overpushed at times. Which was understandable, which is understandable. But it is what it is. Very night's main event is actually looking like a stacked show this time around. A show that's also not just a stacked show, but a show that's actually being booked like it means something instead of just being booked frantically within a week's notice because they gotta come up with some kind of match card. But hey, it is what it is. We also got obviously CM Punk and Sami Zayn. They have their own individual goals for 2025. So, it is what it is. We also got Seth Rollins backstage with Paul Heyman and Braun Breaker, and Seth Rollins decides to tell Braun Breaker, I want you to do something. I want you to do something. So we don't know what that is, but it can only mean one thing. It can really only mean one thing. We also got Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. A Town Down Under. And they're being interviewed by Kathy Kelly. She talks about last week and Austin Theory's match with Sheamus that didn't end well for him, obviously. It ended in a loss for him. Yeah, it is what it is. But this week, Austin Theory decided, you know what? I'm going to speak for my tag team partner here, and I'm going to say, maybe you should face Sheamus in the match next week. And it's been made official. So this upcoming Monday, we're going to get Grayson Waller versus Sheamus. I only wonder how that match is going to end with a Grayson Waller L. Yeah. But hey, welcome back, Sheamus. Looks to be in great shape, and I'm glad he's back. He's always great, good to have. We got Jey Uso. He's talking about his match in the ring. He's talking about his upcoming match at Saturday night's main event against Logan Paul. Then Gunther comes out, and he has decided that he doesn't care. He doesn't care who comes out of that match as the champion, but he's hoping it's Jey because he wants to win the title back. And he has made it clear that on the Monday Night Raw following Money in the Bank, which is June 7th, so basically June 9th, I'm guessing, because June 7th, I'm guessing, is a Saturday. They do the main roster PLEs on Saturday. So that would mean that it would be the June 9th would be when that match is happening for the World Championship. And I can only imagine who might save Jey Uso's title reign this time. There is rumors going around that Goldberg, his retirement match, could very well include Gunther. If they decide to go with Gunther versus Gunther, then this could be how they get that feud started. Because we saw them at Bad Blood last year in an interaction. Gunther had a in-ring promo segment. He called out Goldberg, who was in the crowd. So basically, they hinted at a match between the two of them. Nothing materialized, but this could be where they have that feud take shape. Goldberg could come out there to cost Gunther the match, and all he would really even have to do is just stand there and just look right into Gunther's face. As far as how this match will go, I don't know how this match will go. It could go either way. I mean, it could be a good match, or it could be a car crash, like what we got at Super Showdown 2019 with Goldberg and Undertaker. Some people will say that match was great and that match was so good, but yeah, there were multiple botches in that match with Undertaker, especially a moment where Goldberg hits a jackhammer, but it's not even the best jackhammer he's ever done. It's like one of the worst. And he almost dropped Undertaker right on the back of his neck. Almost. I mean, I'm surprised that both of those men came out of that match alive. But it is what it is. After this, we got a match between the Creed brothers and the War Raiders. Now, right before this match happened, obviously, Pat McAfee came back to the announce desk for the first time since the announce desk, which obviously he was in a match against Gunther at Backlash, which was good for what it was. Let's move on from it. 2 likes. Thank you for the person who just hit that second like button, the like button for the second time. Thank you. But yeah, he's back. We also got, after this, the Creed brothers versus the War Raiders. Went about 11 minutes. Not bad and this match was very good. I think Creed brothers are great. Now, the New Day were on commentary for this match. Obviously, they did not want to face the War Raiders again, so they decided at one point near the end to distract the War Raiders, which would enable the Creed brothers to get the win. But after the match, Adam Pearce decided to come out, make it official, make the match he basically stated that the referee's decision is final, so the Creed brothers are still credited with the win because the referee's decision is final, but he made it known that since the New Day decided to get themselves involved in the match, that he'll just add the War Raiders anyways. And make it a triple threat match for the titles, which obviously upset the New Day because they don't want to face War Raiders again. It's honestly, I can see why. They're big men, athletic as hell, because Ivar, what he's able to do in that ring is something that no man should ever be able to do. No man his size should ever be able to do a cartwheel in the ring. No man his size should ever be able to do a moonsault, a perfect one, a near perfect moonsault at that. I mean, the things this team is able to do are things that most big man tag teams should never be able to do. But it, but hey, I like both of these teams. All three of these teams. I think the New Day's heel run has been sort of flat actually, compared to what I expected it to be. But it is what it is. We got Ludwig Kaiser. He's backstage being interviewed by Kathy Kelly. She was pretty busy tonight interviewing people. Hasn't had a match in a while. She was wanting to know what his next steps are. But then we would get interrupted. But then the interview would get interrupted because of ruckus that was happening backstage. Apparently, Jay Uso was attacked backstage, and it was by none other than Braun Breaker. So that's obviously what Seth Rollins sent him out to do: find Jay Uso and beat the crap out of him, literally. And that's exactly what we got. Jay Uso laid out backstage with Braun Breaker basically right there, basically admitting, basically showing you, I did this, I attacked him, it was me. No need to investigate. But hey, we got Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch promo in the ring, and this was very good. This was a very good Becky Lynch promo, and I was quite surprised with how good it was. I can't remember exactly everything she said, but mainly she was just talking about Lyra Valkyria, their match at Backlash, and just that's basically all it was about. Basically, just Lyra Valkyria and her match at Backlash and everything else and this and that. But it was a great promo. I think this Becky Lynch heel turn might actually be the best out of her three heel turns now so far. This is the third heel turn we've had from Becky Lynch. The first one was completely justified because she was getting upset at the fact that her supposed friend Charlotte Flair was getting way too many opportunities while just using her character as it was at the time. Charlotte Flair's character at the time in 2018 was basically that of someone who who feels like they're earned everything and that they should never have to work for anything. They should always be handed every opportunity, every title opportunity. And that's exactly what Becky Lynch was like, dude, I'm done. I'm done playing second fiddle to Charlotte. I'm done letting Charlotte Flair just walk her way into title matches that she has no business being involved in. And then she turned heel, which eventually turned her into the biggest babyface in the women's division. Her second heel turn in 2021 was all about her just being big time Bex, which was good, but it wasn't like it was anything special. But it is what it is. Let me do something for a second. Well, let's see. Yeah. We also got a Rusev video package. Another hype video for Rusev, who has returned to WWE for the first time since 2020. Great. He's been booked very well. He's been booked very well so far, which is nice to see because I like Rusev. I don't know if I really like Rusev, but I think it's interesting to see him back after basically 5 years, because it's been basically 5 years since he's been in WWE. So it's interesting to see some of these superstars that I haven't seen in years in WWE, seeing them back. But then again, it's also just as equally interesting seeing guys that I've seen in WWE for years finally in another promotion like AEW, TNA, like Ricochet in AEW, don't think I would have ever seen that coming or seen that happening. But hey, we got AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. Went about 19 minutes. This was a great match. We only got like 4 matches actually on the card. All 4 of them, if I'm not mistaken, were really good. These were all really good matches. And this match was really good. AJ Styles won the match, obviously. I'm guessing, I don't know what they're doing with Finn Balor, but it's obvious what they're planning is potentially essentially a meltdown within Judgment Day in which Dominic Mysterio gets the boot courtesy of Finn Balor, which honestly, I'm seeing it happening. It's just, I feel like that's where they're going. This whole Finn Balor constantly being mad and angry with not just with the other members of Judgment Day, but just being mad and angry at the fact that he just keeps losing and losing and losing and just hasn't been able to get anything done. So I 3 likes. Thank you. Oh, hey, Aaron. Yeah, Aaron. Thank you for coming. I know you were live at one point, so I was like, I don't know if he'll show up at any point, but hey, we wouldn't mind it at all. But yeah, this was a great match. We also got Io Sky and Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez and Julia. This was a very good match. Very good match as well. Baseball. Yeah, baseball's happening. It's pretty. I like the Seattle Mariners when it comes to MLB. When it comes to Major League Baseball, I like the Seattle Mariners. I guess it just happens to be that way because I'm also a Seattle Seahawks fan. And then again, I also kind of like the New York Yankees, so it is what it is. But this match between Io Ripley, Roxanne Julia lasted about 19 minutes. It was great. The faces won the match. After the match, though, post-match, we got a backstage segment. I guess it was like a digital exclusive or whatever. Roxanne and Julia were backstage, and Roxanne was just not happy about losing. It was like, we need to do this next time, we need to do that next time, or whatever, this and that. And then Julia basically decides to just shut Roxanne up and says, there is no we. As in, like, there was never a we. I just needed you for a brief period, and now I no longer really need you anymore, so I'm just gonna go on and do my own thing now. Which now makes perfect sense since she is now a part of the SmackDown roster, so more on that later. But hey, that was Monday Night Raw. If I were to rate it, it would be an 8 out of 10. It was that good. AJ Styles versus Finn Balor was great. The main event was great. All the matches were great. Segments, great. The only one that didn't really make much sense was Gunther's segment with Jey Uso. But other than that, it was great. I think that match is just going to set up Goldberg versus Gunther, which I'm not mad at if that's where they're using that match. That's how they're using that match to get the Goldberg versus Gunther, then I'm okay with it. Now on to Tuesday and NXT. Tonight, this week's NXT was another good show. Nothing particularly special per se, but it was a good show. Let's just call it that. We started out the show with a recap video of the #1 Contenders Battle Royal match to determine the number one contender for Obafemi's NXT Championship at Battleground, which is next weekend. And obviously we got Miles Bourne with the win. I did not expect that to happen per se, but I am more than willing to accept it because I like Miles Bourne a little bit, so it would actually be pretty interesting to see how that match plays out. We'll see. Obviously, the opener was Miles Bourne. He came out with his group from No Quarter Catch Crew, Charlie Dempsey and Tavion Heights. Charlie Dempsey still isn't exactly sure that Miles Bourne can beat Obafemi. And then, all of a sudden, Ethan Page, no surprise here, decided to come out and just decided to crash the party and decided, you know what, Miles, I don't think you can beat Obafemi either, and I don't know why WWE NXT I just don't know why you think you should be in this match, because I think that I should be in this match. So here goes Ethan Page yet again trying to get a match for the NXT title that he still, I'm guessing, believes should be his. Wow. He's still trying to get back to that NXT title. And it's not happening. He basically begged Miles Bourne to put his spot at Battleground on the line tonight in a match, which then Ava comes out, tells Miles that I just don't know if this is the right thing for you, but I know that you want to silence the doubters and the critics who probably think that you don't deserve to be in this position, so I'll do it. And then she also reminded Charlie Dempsey of some big business that he had to take care of, which was going to start right now. And I had almost forgotten that last week, Obafemi basically welcomed Charlie Dempsey to try and topple him this week. And so that's what happened. What we got next was Obafemi versus Charlie Dempsey. This was about a 10-minute match. Wasn't anything special, but it was a good match, actually. We saw Charlie Dempsey. I kind of like Charlie Dempsey, maybe not just because of the fact that he's William Regal's son, but he's also pretty darn good in the ring. So he gets that going for him. But hey, it is what it is. It was an okay match. Obviously, Obafemi won leading into Battleground, going into Battleground. The match between him and Miles Bourne should actually be okay. Should be pretty good, and I don't know if Miles Bourne, I don't think is winning this match. I feel like they're going to save Oba losing the title to someone that's more of a prestige NXT talent. But I don't know. But hey, we'll see what happens. After this, we got Tatum Paxley. We got, I think it was Thea Hale and Carmen Petrovic backstage. They were discussing the match that Carmen had last week with Jada Parker, where Thea decided to take a bullet for Carmen after the match, because Jada was lining Carmen up for a hip check for her I don't even know what it is, what you call it, the sweet hip check or whatever, where she just takes her booty and just slams it into her opponent's face, which usually wins her the match. but Thea pushed Carmen out of the way and took the bullet for her. Then they run into Tatum Paxley, who is just destroying her dollhouse and all the stuff that she and all the stuff and a bunch of stuff backstage. She is obviously not happy. She is obviously depressed because she has now lost her two best friends. Obviously, we know who those are. Shotzi and Gigi Dolan. They were both released from WWE recently within the last month, within the last few weeks. So obviously we feel a little bad for Tatum. She's now this leads to a match being made official between Tatum and Thea Hale. So it is what it is. I think Tatum's slowly going unhinged, which I don't know what that means, but she's definitely looking like she's becoming more crazy. I know at one point she was pretty crazy at one point in her career in NXT and now I feel like she might be reverting back to that crazy gimmick. From what we saw in the match. Also, we got Ethan Page and Ricky Saints, or as I'm going to continue to call him, Ricky Starks, because I just don't know if I like the Saints name. Ricky Starks. Obviously, Ethan Page is getting ready for his match against Miles Bourne. Is what it is. Ricky and Ethan apparently have unfinished business, or at least according to Ethan Page, who apparently will never be able to get over the fact that he's lost matches to champions like Ricky Saints. I mean, you can't. Apparently, he's not gotten over the fact that he lost at NXT Stand and Deliver. But it is what it is. We also got a video package for a returning NXT tag team that is OTM. Bronco Nima and Lucian Price, they are now set to return next week. And as we saw later on in the match, we now know who their first opponents will be on their debut, on their return. Good luck, Chase U. That's all I can say is good luck. We got Stephanie Vekar in the ring. She is there to hype up her upcoming Battleground match against Jordynne Grace for the NXT title. Then Fatal Influences JC Jane and Fallon Henley decided to interrupt proceedings as they always like to do. They're predicting that Vaker's championship reign won't last much longer. This then leads to Jordynne Grace coming out. She is basically there to also hype up her match against Stephanie. Also, she wants to make it clear she's going to be here to protect her investment, as she calls it, her match. She wants to face Stephanie at her best. She doesn't want anybody to stand in the way of her match at Battleground, not even Fatal Influence. This then later leads to a match being made official for the main event, which is weird because we've gotten women main eventing NXT for the last couple of weeks, at least since the NXT after following stand-in WrestleMania weekend. I feel like it's just every week now we're seeing the women main event, and I'm excited about that. And the matches are good, and the matches are really good. So it is what it is. We got Miles Bourne versus Ethan Page. It is what it is. Match was really good. Match was actually really good. Miles Bourne actually won the match via a Randy Orton-esque dropkick. yeah, there's a reason why he's been compared to Randy Orton nowadays, because some of his moves are classic Randy Orton moves: power slam, drop kick, even some of his stomps, like the garden stomps or the Garvin stomps or whatever. They're sort of Randy Orton esque, and I like it. I like it. I like him. But yeah, Miles Bourne won, which I honestly didn't think Miles Bourne was going to lose. He's got that match at Battleground, and I felt like he was going to keep that match at Battleground. And that's exactly what happened. So congrats to him. Congrats to him. We got Tony D'Angelo versus Wes Lee. Wes Lee, this match went about 12 minutes. Really decent match. The end of the match saw Stacks appear on the Titantron, and he had a little bit of a message for Tony D. He was at the Rizzo safe house. Obviously, ever since Tony D, since Stacks turned his back on the family, I guess Adriana Rizzo has been hiding in a safe house of sorts, and Stacks, he found it. He found out where the safe house is. I'm guessing he already knew about the safe house because like he said he's done this before for Tony in other situations. So he was like, "Did you not think I'd know about the safe house?" This then led to Wes Lee getting the win via the cardiac kick. After the match, though, Tony did not waste any time. He was out the door, out the building, got into his, like, I guess his SUV or whatever, and asked his driver, "Go, go, 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 go. We gotta get to Rizzo before Stacks does." Yeah. It is what it is. It is what it is. We got Tatum Paxley versus Thea Hale. This was a bit of a squash match. Went about 4 minutes. It is what it is. The match was a DQ win actually for Thea Hale, because at one point Thea had the Kimura lock. The Kimura lock on Tatum. Tatum was smiling. And then she decides to go for the eyes, decides to rake the eyes, which the referee clearly sees and just rings the bell. And yeah, it looks like Tatum Paxley is becoming unhinged and a bit of a creep, and a bit of a creepy psychopath, which might actually be good for her. Who knows if this is actually going to be great for her, but we will see what happens with Tatum Paxley going forward. We got Joe Hendry and Trick Williams segments to sign the contract for their match at Battleground. This was basically basic, back and forth. Both of them talked about what will happen once the others' 15 minutes of fame is up. Trick Williams recently has started to say that he's above NXT, that he's better than NXT. And I'm guessing eventually they're going to have him debut on the main roster. I feel like it's just inevitable that it's going to happen this year. I think what they're going to do is they're going to call him up via the draft this year, because it's supposed to happen sometime before SummerSlam, which obviously that means which means we have at least a month, about a week and a half left in May, and then maybe June before the match officially for SummerSlam is inevitably occurs. So we will see what happens with that. As far as who wins this match, I say Joe Hendry wins. it's only fair because he is because Joe is the TNA World Champ. I just don't see him losing it to an NXT superstar. I just don't. We got Chase U in a segment. We got Kale Dixon and Uriah Connors. I couldn't remember the other guy's name to save my life, but now I know who it is. It's Kale Dixon and Uriah Connors. They are talking with Ava about getting Chase U back on the map, and they want a match next week to prove themselves, basically to prove themselves. And so Ava is like, yeah, okay. I mean, you guys want to make a name for yourself. You guys just want an opportunity, and I'm willing to give you that. And also, she's probably giving them this opportunity because they're not like others who just who just barge into her office demanding opportunities. They are one of those that ask nicely, and I'm guessing she's willing to give a team who doesn't just demand opportunities but asks nicely for opportunities. But then Chase, Mr. Chase, Andre Chase comes in. Kale and Uriah tell Andre Chase, Mr. Chase, about their opportunity next week, and then they ask Ava who they're facing, and then she decides to drop the bombshell, which is, oh, you're facing a returning OTM, which then has Mr. Chase throw out a curse word, but I don't know which one it was. Okay, Mr. Chase, calm down, calm down. He was like, well, what are you thinking? Like, yeah, Kale Dixon and Uriah Connors, good luck next week because you are going to need it against OTM. Then we got the main event, which is Stephanie McCare and Jordynne Grace versus Fatal Influence, JC Jane and Fallon Henley. This match was really good, went about 13 minutes, and the babyfaces won, which I knew was going to happen. Could have shown that out a mile away. I did not see the babyfaces losing this match, and that's exactly what happened. They won. Congrats to Stephanie and Jordynne. They should have a very good matchup. Very good matchup Battleground. Now, as far as how I would rate this week's Tuesday NXT, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. It was really good. Nothing special or whatnot, but it was a very good match. But it was a very good show. Now on to AW Dynamite. It wasn't a bad show this week, but it wasn't a great show. It was good. We got the opening, saw Ricochet and Zach Gowen. Now, for those who have no idea who Zach Gowen is, let me paint you a picture. SmackDown, WWE SmackDown 2003. Basically, there was this guy in the crowd during a WWE show who came in defense of Mr. America, aka Hulk Hogan, when Hogan was doing his Mr. America sort of gimmick. Basically the same thing as his real American gimmick. It was just seeing him in different colored gear and stuff, and wearing a mask. Wearing an American type mask. And he also happened to be an amputee, one-legged man, Zach Gowen. He was a wrestler. He had a few matches. He had a match against Vince McMahon at a pay-per-view. I can't remember which one it was. Vengeance Day, Judgment Day. I think it was Vengeance Day. Vengeance pay-per-view. And it was a really good match. He didn't do much. But probably the thing that he's most recognized for was him getting thrown down a flight of stairs by Brock Lesnar. That's probably the only thing people remember Zach Gowen for, It's the Brock Lesnar moment where Brock threw him down the flight of stairs in a wheelchair. They did that recently on AEW television. The Death Riders sort of emulated that moment with their own sort of Brock Lesnar, that Gowan moment, throwing someone. Can't even remember who it was because it was so long ago, but I don't remember. But it is what it is. But yeah, he was wrestling on AEW television for the first time, in wrestling, so to speak, for the first time. I don't know in how long. It was against, obviously he was wrestling Ricochet. It was a really good match, and it went about 10 minutes. Ricochet won, which honestly, I saw it happening a mile away. Then Mark Briscoe comes out to make the save after Ricochet decides to again go after Zach Gowen post-match. We got Nigel McGuinness is in the ring. I don't know what's going on here. There's apparently last week on Collision, they had a match. Daniel Garcia had a match with Dax Harwood in the main event, which at one point had FTR sort of get in Nigel's face and just at one point even slapping the headset off of him, the commentator's headset off of him, which then forced him to get into the ring, and decided and just start dishing out punishment to FTR. And then that's how that match ended. This week we have him talking with Tony Schiavone. Then Daniel Garcia comes out. Daniel Garcia's like, I don't know if you're here to fight with me against FTR, but if you're not, and if you're just gonna betray me, then just do it, because no one knows I've been through enough already. So I'm guessing they might be setting up a storyline in which Nigel McGuinness comes back to the ring again to fight with Daniel Garcia against FTR, which it's interesting considering that Nigel McGuinness is a known heel commentator and is known for basically singing the praises of the heels in AEW. But it is what it is. The match should actually be good if it happens, because Daniel Garcia is really good. FTR is really good as a tag team. Nigel McGuinness, I have only seen him once. I've only seen him twice now. That being All In last year, and then that match he had with Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson at Grand Slam. It is what it is, but it should be good. But yeah. Well, we also got Hurt Business. The Hurt Syndicate. I said Hurt Business, but I meant Hurt Syndicate because they're no longer in WWE anymore. Hurt Syndicate. Another team that I never thought I would see in AEW. Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and MVP. Well, Bobby and Shelton had a match against Top Flight. This match lasted about 7 minutes. Decent match. Didn't really need to be on the show, but it was the post-match stuff that really got people's attention. Finally, we get Bobby Lashley's. Finally, we got Bobby Lashley's decision. Do we have MVP enter in as a member of the Hurt Syndicate, or do we take him out to the curb? After basically about 20 seconds of back and forth with his thumb, he eventually gives a thumbs up, basically saying, you're in, which makes MJF very, very happy. Like, dude, I seriously don't know how getting into a faction like the Hurt Syndicate is going to get you any closer to the World Heavyweight Championship. But maybe he can have MVP sort of politic MJF into a title match eventually. That could be where they could say it, is that MVP can just use his influence to get a match, get MJF a match for the title. But hey, it is what it is. We got the Mina Shirakawa versus Toni Storm versus something Azumi, the woman who recently beat Mercedes Moné for the New Japan Pro Wrestling Women's Championship, which coincidentally she didn't even pin the champion. She pinned Mina Shirakawa, who's also in this match. But also versus Sky Blue, who has apparently returned after 10 months out due to injury. Sky Blue, a wrestler that a lot of people fantasized about for a long time because of her cake. And obviously there are going to be at least 1 or 2 people watching that know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's about as clean as you're going to get. And that's about as dirty as it's going to get. Yes, this was a very good match, actually. Went about 9 minutes. And Mina actually pinned the champion, which means she gets a future title opportunity against Toni Storm, which was then made official for Double or Nothing. So this match should be very good because I've seen both of them wrestle now a couple times, and Mina is very good, and Toni Storm is just timeless because that's her character, but she's also timeless and is just that good. After the match, the woman who beats Mercedes, who took the title, one of Mercedes' titles from her, she was being helped backstage. Then Mercedes came out, put Azumi in the statement maker, which is basically the bank statement, but it's no longer the bank statement because she's no longer in WWE, and I'm sure WWE has that locked down in trademarking. So it's now called the statement maker, but then all of a sudden Jamie Hayter comes out and then basically puts Mercedes into her own version of the statement maker. But as far as who I think wins the Owen Hart Women's Tournament Finals, I'm going with Jamie Hayter, and not just because I think she's going to win, but also because I want her to win, and I just don't know why it would benefit AEW to have Mercedes win. She's now lost one of her titles, which basically proves that she's not against losing. She's not against losing when it makes sense, although her character on screen is obviously not going to be happy about it. Regardless. Also, we got MJF and Will Ospreay backstage. Ospreay was being interviewed by Renee Paquette heading into his Double or Nothing match against Hangman and Page in the tournament final, in the finals of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament for the men. Then MJF comes out in the focus and is like, I'm actually kind of hoping that you win and that you win the title from Jon Moxley, because it would mean so much more to me to take the title off of you. But then Will Ospreay decides to remind him of the last time they met one-on-one in the ring, and Will Ospreay dropped MJF on the back of his neck, on his head, on the back of his neck. And it's like, oh, okay, well, if you really want another match with me, do you really want it to end like last time? Yeah, I don't think so. Then we get the main event. Samoa Joe versus Jon Moxley for the NXT title for the AEW World Championship inside of a steel cage. Really good match. Really good match. As Samoa Joe and Jon Moxley are just that good. It's a good match. Obviously, I didn't think Samoa Joe had a chance to win, and he obviously lost due to the shenanigans from the Death Riders. Obviously, this was always going to end in a finish where the Death Riders get involved and but hey, it is what it is. Obviously, I think he's going to lose it. I don't know who wins, takes the title off of him, but I don't know. Could be anybody at this point, but we'll see who eventually takes the title off of him. AEW Dynamite this week was not bad, but it wasn't good either. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Because it was decent. We got some good matches, but all in all, not a very exciting show. Then Friday Night SmackDown last night. Probably one of the best Friday Night SmackDowns we've had since this whole darn show went to a 3-hour format. Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu and a debuting Jeff Cobb came out in the opener, but Jeff Cobb is now being labeled as JC Mateo. It's a good name. I'll accept it because at least it's a name that makes sense and it's a good name. Unlike certain other names that are just so out there that it doesn't even make sense, that it barely makes any sense. But hey, we got Solo is happy about Jacob Fatu retaining his title at Backlash with his help and with JC's help. Jacob Fatu at one point tells Solo Sikoa that he loves him, but Solo tells Jacob, no, that's not how you say it. Say it like you used to say it. Say it like you used to say it. Say it, give it more oomph, basically. He's asking Jacob to give him more oomph, more fire when he says it. This then leads to LA Knight coming out and launching a sneak attack on JC Mateo, who cost him his shot at the US title at Backlash. Great. LA Knight still will not go away, will not get away from the bloodline. I'm like, dude, at this point, I'm going to be like, I think LA Knight's done all he can do on SmackDown. I just don't see him ever doing anything more on SmackDown other than the US title. That's his ceiling on SmackDown. If he goes over to Raw, I swear to God, if he doesn't get drafted to Monday Night Raw in this year's draft and he stays on SmackDown, I don't know what's going to happen with him. He's never going to, he could have a match with John Cena, but it's not going to do anything for him. He's going to lose. At least on SmackDown, on Raw, he would get a new slew of opponents, some of which he hasn't faced in a long time, or those who he hasn't faced at all yet. But hey, it is what it is. We got women's Money in the Bank qualifying matches. We got Chelsea Green versus Michin versus Alexa Bliss. Alexa won, went about 9 minutes. Very decent match for the women. A very good match for the women. And congrats to Alexa Bliss. She is now in her, I think this is her third Money in the Bank ladder match. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it's her third. She's been in 2018, 2021, and now this year. So we'll see what happens here. I don't think she wins it this year, but we'll see who wins. We already know what women's Money in the Bank qualifying match will be for next week, which features a debuting Julia to the SmackDown brand, Charlotte Flair, and Zelina Vega Obviously, I think Zelina Vega is going to take the pin here. So, hey, it is what it is in that match. But hey, we got Carmelo Hayes versus Aleister Black. This was a very good match. Better than their last match, apparently. Went about 10 minutes. It ended in a DQ finish though when Aleister looked like he was setting up Black Mass on Carmelo, only for the Miz to get into the ring and just attack attack Aleister Black. This then led to Miz getting hit with Black Mass. Then Carmelo Hayes did a chop block to the back of the knee, which then led to him hitting nothing but net. I'm guessing we're getting another match between these two. It's inevitable now that they're now tied at 1 win apiece. Obviously, we're going to get some sort of a closing match to sort of determine who. Obviously, I think we're getting a trio out of this. It's gonna have a third match, I'm sure. But hey, it is what it is. I like Aleister Black. I think he's great. And I'm just happy to see him back in WWE. We got a Damian Priest video package. He's basically saying that he's not exactly done with Drew McIntyre. Or at least he doesn't want to be done with Drew McIntyre just yet. And it's what it is. It was great. It was really good. Drew McIntyre then Drew McIntyre came out at one point to basically address Damian Priest's comments in the video package from earlier and made it clear that after Saturday night's main event, he is done with Damian Priest and that their feud will end in a steel cage match at Saturday night's main event, which I talked about earlier. This match should be good. This Saturday night's main event is actually looking like a pretty strong Saturday night's main event. It's looking like a great show. And it should be. It should be a great show. But hey, it is what it is. We also got an R-Truth interview. An R-Truth interview where he was interviewed with Wade Barrett. He was basically, like I said earlier, he wants to sort of beat some hustle, loyalty, and respect back into John Cena. He wants John Cena to be the guy that he used to be. He doesn't know what this version of John Cena is, but he doesn't like it. R-Truth was serious. R-Truth was serious in this segment, and when R-Truth is serious, he actually comes off pretty darn good. I mean, he can play comedy great. R-Truth is great at comedy, but when he needs to be serious, he is serious, and you believe it, and you believe every word he says. But hey, it is what it is. This match will now be made official. It's now been made official for Saturday night's main event as well. But it is non-title, so obviously the title's not going to be on the line. Good. I don't think it needs to be. We got DIY versus Fraxium. This match was basically just a tune-up match for Fraxium before their match next week, which will be apparently against the Street Profits for the tag team titles. Should be a great match next week, but this match was also very good. Went about 11 minutes. Very good. Fraxium win as they should. And DIY tried to do a post-match attack, but Motor City Machine Guns decided that they wanted to prevent that from happening. Which, hey, it is what it is. This match was great. Fraxium's match next week against Street Profits should also be great. And I'm excited with this match. Now, if only Raw would book their men's tag team division as good as SmackDown is, we would actually have 2 great tag team divisions. Because we got some great tag teams on Monday Night Raw that just aren't being booked properly. Like Creed Brothers, they got a win this past week this past Monday night, but it's like their first win in like weeks or months that I can remember. We also got another Money in the Bank qualifying match this time for the men. Solo Sikoa versus Jimmy Uso versus Ray Phoenix. I thought Ray Phoenix was winning this match. I honestly didn't see Jimmy or Solo winning. I thought Jimmy was going to be there to take the pinfall, which which I think is what happened. But we also got Solo Sikoa winning the match. Don't know how I feel about that, but hey, it is what it is. JC Mateo got involved, Jacob Fatu got involved. This then led to Mid LA Knight again getting involved. And so Nick Aldis decides to come out and is like, okay, LA Knight, you seem to want to get your hands on JC Mateo so much, and JC, you seem to really want to get involved in the Bloodlines business tonight. So how about I just let you two fight and let's do it right now. So we got this match, LA Knight versus JC Mateo. Lasted about 8 minutes. It was a good match. LA Knight loses, obviously, which I could see happen a mile away. We got Jade Cargill. She is backstage with Tiffany Stratton. She basically decided to tell Tiffany that after this match she has with Nia Jax, she's coming for the women's championship next. So I'm guessing Jade Cargill, for one night only, has decided to pull a Charlotte Flair, where she's basically deciding, or at least any superstar who has decided to just say that, hey, after this match, I got next. I don't care what anybody else says, I'm next in line. Then we get Nia Jax versus Tiffany Stratton main event for the women's title. This match was arguably better than Tiffany versus Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. This was better than Tiffany's match at WrestleMania. It just was. Any match would have been better than her WrestleMania match with Charlotte Flair. But this match was considerably better. Went about 13 minutes, a little over 13 minutes. It was a very good match. Very good match. Tiffany won, obviously. At one point, Naomi came out with a steel chair. This then led to Jade Cargill coming out to stop her from doing whatever it is Naomi was planning to do. Then at one point, we had Tiffany Stratton attempt. We had Nia go for the Annihilator. Tiffany tried to lift Nia in a power bomb, I'm guessing, of sorts, which then led to Tiffany Stratton just going splat on the mat, which instantly I remember, and then I instantly remembered that that's exactly how Nia's match at Queen of the Ring last year ended, with Lyra basically going for, I guess, what was a power bomb move, and then she just the weight of Nia Jax just collapses her, and she went splat on the mat. This time, however, the match didn't end that way. It ended because Tiffany was able to grab the bottom rope. She was close enough to the ropes, and then Nia decides to bring in the championship belt, which the ref gets rid of, but not before Nia gets a steel chair into the ring. Tiffany immediately drop kicks the steel chair right into Nia's face, and she's bleeding immediately, bleeding blood from her forehead. Which then she goes for the prettiest moonsault ever. 1, 2, 3. She retains the title. Congratulations, Tiffany. You just beat Nia Jax. Now let's get Nia Jax far away from Tiffany Stratton. Because if Nia Jax continues to go after Tiffany Stratton, then I don't know what we're doing. But hey, that's Friday Night SmackDown for you. It was much better than last week's. Much better than the last couple of weeks. It was probably one of the best Friday Night SmackDowns since they started doing the 3-hour format. So I will give it an 8 out of 10. But Hey, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. I know I did. I will see you guys next week. I have a video to do following this live stream. It will be premiering on my channel tomorrow. And until next time, I will see you guys later and peace. Bye, guys.